called for a special purpose. Exodus chapter 18 verse 1 to chapter 20 verses 1 to 26, Isaiah chapter 61 verses 1 to 6, and Luke chapter 4 verses 16 to 30. Introduction. What do you think your purpose in life is? Have you found it? Have you done anything that people will remember you for? Last Shabbat, after God instructed the children of Israel to gather double manna on the 6th day, but on the following day, which is Shabbat, there will be none. But some of the Israelites couldn't stand it, so they went out to gather and they found none. And God questioned them by saying, "How long do you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws?" So the children of Israel rested on the Shabbat. The next chapter, they still complained and contended with Moshe, and asked for a drink. Then God told him to strike the rock in Horeb, and he did. After that, through the leadership of Joshua, they fought against the Amalekites in Rephidim. Moshe stood on the top of the hill and used the rod of God. Every time he raised his hand, they prevailed. When he put down his hand, the Amalekites prevailed. Moshe got tired, but Aaron and Hur helped him to make his hand steady. And the result, Joshua defeated the Amalekites. This Shabbat, our Torah portion has 3 chapters. Chapter 18 deals with the visitation and advice of Jethro to Moshe. The news quickly reached Jethro about how God brought the Israelites out from the land of Egypt through Moshe. Together with his daughter Zipporah and his grandchildren Gershom and Eleazar, they visited Moshe in the wilderness, where he was encamped at the mountain of God. On the next day, Jethro witnessed how Moshe judged the children of Israel from morning to evening without any helper. He told Moshe that it is not good for him to be alone. Jethro's visit was not an accident. God allowed it with a special purpose, and that is to give Moshe some advice on how to deal with God's people. Jethro is not only concerned with Moshe, but to the Israelites as well. Verse 18 says, "Both you and these people who are with you will surely wear yourselves out. For this thing is too much for you, you are not able to perform it by yourself." So he told Moshe to select able men from all the people, particularly God-fearing, men of truth, hating covetousness, see also 1 Timothy chapter 3 verses 1 to 7, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. Surprisingly, the Hebrew word for able is kael, which means strength, ability, efficiency, wealth, force, army. These men or elders have special purposes like Jethro, for they would be Moshe's strength too, who have the ability to help him in judging and teaching the children of Israel. Jethro, a priest from Midian, knows that his son-in-law will be gone someday. His concern is who will follow the steps of Moshe as a leader. For the nation of Israel must continue their journey, not only going to the promised land, but also their journey of faith with obedience to the God of their forefathers, and they need someone who will guide, teach, disciple and help them to discover their purpose for the next generation. Now in chapter 19, we can see the special purpose of the children of Israel. God told Moshe to tell the people that they need to obey God's voice and keep his covenant. And if they do, first they will be a special treasure to God above all people. The Hebrew word for special treasure is segula, which means valued property, possession. Going back to Exodus chapter 6 verse 7, where God said, "I will take you as my people, and I will be your God." Here, God is saying to the children of Israel that he will take them as his bride, and he will be their husband. Also in Psalm chapter 135 verse 4 it says, "For the Lord has chosen Jacob for himself, Israel for his special treasure." Second, Israel will be a kingdom of priests. The Hebrew word for kingdom is mamlaka, which means dominion, reign, and for the word priest, it's Kohen in Hebrew, which means principal officer or chief ruler. They will be God's representative to bring the nations closer to him. Also in Revelation chapter 21 verses 9 to 21, when Yeshua shows his bride to Yochanan in a vision, the holy city Yerushalayim came down out of heaven from God. It had 12 gates, and names were written on them, which are the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. And the wall of the city had 12 precious stones, such as jasper, sapphire, beryl, topaz, and more, which can be found on the breastplate of a high priest. These precious stones signifying Israel as the treasure of God and priests as well. Third, they will be a holy nation. The Hebrew word for holy is kadosh, which means set apart. Since their God is holy, they should be holy as well, meaning to be set apart for His purposes. That's the reason why God gave the Torah in chapter 20 as their guide, mirror, and help for a righteous living. Notice in verse 1 it says, "And God spoke all these words saying." We become aware of the word 10 commandments, but it should be called Aseret ha-Devarim, or the 10 words. From the word devar it means speech, talk, saying, and maybe that's the reason why God started in verse 1 saying that He is the God who brought Israel out of Egypt, therefore they should have no other gods before Him. Another thing, ha-Devarim is also a covenant. In Exodus chapter 34 verse 28 it says, Moshe was there with Adonai 40 days and 40 nights, during which time he neither ate food nor drank water. Adonai wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 words. To connect the 3 chapters of our Torah portion, we can see the special purpose of the children of Israel. Although Jethro was a Gentile, God used him to give Moshe an advice to choose able men to help him as the leader of the people. Then in chapter 19, God assembled His people to inform them that if they obey His voice and keep His covenant, they will be a special treasure, priests, and holy nation. And the 10 words are their guide to do these 3 special purposes. In Haftarah, my understanding is Prophet Isaiah was just prophesying about the special purpose of Messiah Yeshua. But Yeshua himself is the one talking here. To support this, let me share Isaiah chapter 11 verses 1 to 2, as the prophecy of Isaiah that says, "There shall come forth a rod from the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord." These 2 verses of Isaiah 11 will help us to understand how Yeshua can do His special purpose in Isaiah chapter 61 verses 1 and 2. A. To preach good tidings to the poor and heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives and opening of the prison to those who are bound. Yeshua has the spirit of wisdom, understanding, counsel and might, Isaiah chapter 11 verse 2. B. To proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord, and the day of vengeance of God, and to comfort all who mourn. Yeshua has the spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord, Isaiah chapter 11 verse 2. Only Messiah Yeshua has the capability of doing this. Our apostolic portion is the fulfillment of Haftarah. On the Shabbat, Yeshua went to the synagogue and he spoke of the accomplishment of the promise in Isaiah chapter 61 verses 1 and 2. That's why in verse 21 he said, "Today this scripture is fulfilled in your hearing." Being called for a special purpose is the connection of Parsha 59. In the Torah, God called the children of Israel to be His special treasure, priests, and holy nation. In Haftarah and Apostolic, Yeshua speaks about His special purpose here on earth, and He fulfilled it upon reading the scripture on the Shabbat day. So what do you think your purpose in life is? Have you found it already? According to Austin Ikaru, a journalist and a professional blogger, a life without purpose is a life without meaning, and a life without meaning is a life without hope, and a life without hope is a worthless life. Each of us has a unique purpose, and part of our purpose is to fear God and obey Him. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 13. Here is my final conclusion. Fear God and obey His commands, for this is everyone's duty. Shabbat Shalom.